I've heard you talk, Havove, about morbid and the issues surrounding their existence and the way they do their work. What do you do from Humata Parsi Irani charitable organization to support Mobeds?
Hanos, we've discussed it for many years within our organization, and I have had very good inputs. So at the time, Jimmy Doctor, who runs now the Parsi PIPS, Parsi Irani Proud Zarthoshti's Facebook page, and I had some people also just as volunteers who were helping and got a lot of good input. I was surprised to hear from a Mobed himself that make sure you don't support anybody who is not performing sincerely their duties and who are doing the wrong things. A Mobed himself has told me that, and this I think is a very important point, because although we are lacking Mobeds and although we need to encourage them, we do not want quantity over quality, because then again we're going to lose out. We want people who are truly sincere. So the suggestions that came up from and Jimmy Mystery came up with a lot of these suggestions, was that we should have something like a Mobed milestone program. And I would be...
You mean Jimmy Doctor?
Jimmy Doctor. So we try to incorporate such a program in Humata. Of course, we don't have the funds, and we hope that someday when we have the funds, we could do it. But I would be most happy if, today's leaders who may already have the funds and they want to take on this task and do it, it would be fine, because then you have enough money to go around. Instead of trying to just raise everybody's level simultaneously, you're focusing on a few Mobeds who are going to concentrate, do the religion diligently.
Makes more practical sense.
Much more practical sense. So the suggestions that came up was that we should support the families of the Mobeds when, supposing the children are just, supposing with a certain amount of remuneration, if the child is sent to the madrasa, and then maybe, once they complete their Navar ceremony, and then once they complete higher ceremonies and they're able to do that, we should sort of give them sort of that kind of a gradation where there's some kind of a celebration.
There is something
and
like
happiness.
that happening, because every child who comes to the madrasa, there is some amount of funds kept to his credit, which is accumulated over a period of time and handed over at the end of.
That's very good. That is very good. That is very good. The other thing that came to me from somebody who was, and I think I'll mention his name because I was very impressed with his instant response to my questions. I said, let me ask him. He's not very wealthy at all, and he is from a Mobed family. So his name was Aresh Naladaru, and and he told me that make sure you do something that with Mobeds that are very sincere. His suggestion was that make sure that the Parsi Panchayat or whoever, I mean, we just say Parsi Panchayat because now it becomes like the ruling authority, but whoever is able to do so, that there should be a gradation. So if the Navar then marries a Parsi, they should get something. Then if that Parsi couple then has one child, then they should get a housing that has at least 2 bedrooms, or maybe they should get housing when they have the second or third child, that their housing should be increased, that their standard of living should be better, but only dependent upon if they're performing their duty like that. So are they having children? Are they making those children Navars? Are the family members, perhaps they don't have male issues, so perhaps we can help maintain our culture by saying, okay, if you have females that are born into your family, can they at least learn the art of making kasti? Can they learn the art of making sadra? Can they earn the art of doing something that is maintaining our culture? And in that sense, although I don't want to put the entire burden on the Mobed family, but since we're trying to help the Mobeds come up, I think this kind of a Mobed milestone program is a good thing. And once it starts working, Hanos, I feel that once people see that this is working, then I feel that the only solution after that is actually going to the public, and the public should be able to give something back to the community. whether also financially, I'm not saying one or the other. I mean, it doesn't matter. I wouldn't want to say a fixed amount because I don't know the demographics of the Parsi population. But whatever amount you can give, I think you're responsible to give something. So even if you can give 1% of your income, or if you can give 10% of your income, it doesn't matter. I think something like that should happen. And to encourage that, perhaps, because we as Parsis now, unfortunately, we have great philanthropists, but we have that division. We have either philanthropists who want to do everything for the community, and we have those community members that will just sit back and say, well, ask so and so, they'll give the money. So to change that attitude, I think the philanthropists also have the responsibility to say, okay, supposing I'm giving 1 rupee, I want 1 rupee from the public. If you think that's too much or too little, then adjust it. Say I'll give 10 rupees for every 1 rupee from the public, or vice versa. Say, whatever the ratio that people feel is necessary. Like, I don't have all the figures in front of me. I don't know how many mobids there are, and I don't know how much money we're talking about. But definitely a way to involve the community, because if the community isn't involved, then they don't care. Similarly to writing my books, Hanos, Gekashu Dastur had told me, Havove, make sure you charge for your books. And though I hate accepting money, even today I will not want to accept money from somebody for the books, even though it's going to charity. 100% of the funds of my efforts here will go to charity. But the idea behind it is that only when somebody digs into their pocket and takes some money out will they feel that there's value in what they're doing. And the community has to value our mobids and value our existence. If they want their grandchildren to have agyaris and have mobids to do their naujots of their grandchildren and the weddings of their grandchildren, then they have to do something to upkeep the community. That is what we feel. And that is what Humata is trying to do.
Excellent work, Havove. One other issue that mobids keep raising very frequently, and I've heard this even recently from somebody, that the number of people who attend Agyaris and Atash Berams is drastically reducing. Either they just don't seem to find the time to do it in today's rat race, or they are just not bothered. And unfortunately, one more thing that I have noticed and I have a very strong view on it is increasing just numbers is number of footfall in an Agyari or Atash Beram is not necessarily a solution. Sometimes it becomes a problem, because the kind of footfall that we see, the kind of attitude of people who keep attending these Agyaris and Atash Berams or functions there is seen, it's pathetic. Basic, they don't carry a topi to work, to the Agyari or Atash Beram. There's a box of dirty caps lying in some corner. They'll just pick up one and put it on their head. They are so improperly dressed. Mm-hmm. I ask a person like that, would you go to your office in clothes like this? Mm-hmm. If you had to meet the Prime Minister of my country, would you walk in like this? Why are you dressed here? He's a king. You are addressing a king. You are talking to a king. So just increasing footfall when you have this kind of crowd walking in and out, treating a Agyari and Atash Beram like a railway station is not going to help. Absolutely we need committed people coming, people who are caring. I'm not saying that these people don't care, but they also have a duty of care to the Pacha Sahib. If I am visiting your house, I have to follow your rules. I can't do what I like therein. Same applies there.
Yeah, as my husband says, Pacha Sahib ni sharam rakho.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you ask them, if you talk to people like this, you are openly challenged.
Yeah.
Who says so?
Yeah.
I can do whatever I like.
And it's sad that we have to
correct them.
It's very sad that we have to correct them, because we feel so badly because they're coming with good intentions and all. We understand all that, but there is a protocol that they have to follow. So again, Hanos, I will say, part of the footfall problem again is lack of
knowledge.
Lack of knowledge is definitely there for not coming in the right way, and that has to be addressed. Now, Malcolm Pesania, who does some of your lectures for Enduring Faith, we were talking the other evening, and he was saying, to some of the mobbits here in Udwada. He says that so many, now that we are in Udwada, you see, we notice trends, and we notice that how many people come on weekends and how many we will come on these Bari rojes, as we say, or Mutta rojes, as we say. And Malcolm noticed. He said to the mobbit, he said, why aren't you taking advantage of this? He asked. Why are the Udwada mobbits not taking advantage of this kind of footfall that's coming to educate the people? Half an hour. You know what times people come. You know what times the trains come and trains leave. Half an hour, one small education. And in that education, you can also include Ari na awanu, Ari na teyar thawanu, but for what reason? Don't just come and say, come to artist where I'm dressed like this, because people don't understand. They don't understand the beauty of wearing white. They don't understand why they have to cover their heads. The other day I saw a young girl. She was young, maybe 12, 14 years, not 14, maybe 10, 12 years old. And she had come in shorts that were half the thigh length, white shorts. And you don't want to insult that child. You don't want that child's feelings to be hurt when they come to Iransha. You want to make sure that you're protecting that child from any kind of abuse. But the thing is that the way that a child should come to visit their king? Just look at the side of Persepolis and look at the staircase and look how magnificent. And today we look at the stone sculptures of Persepolis and we are in awe of how the magnificent beauty of how people used to come and visit the king. Today we have a live king. And people do not understand that they are coming to see a king, and they have to show that respect. And if they don't know, take 5 minutes to learn. Ask somebody, how should I do it? How can I go without wearing Zarthoshti? All these people who are taking tours from Iran, can you not please make sure that you're bringing Zoroastrians who have had their Naujot done as a Zoroastrian, who know how to perform their kasti, who know how to say their prayers. This is not a tourist spot. This is not a tourist spot. That they have made Iransha beautiful, that other tourists come, but as a Zoroastrian, as a Parsi, Irani, you come to Iransha not as a tourist. You come to Iransha as a pilgrimage. You come with your nose, as one of my friend Mobids here says, you come with your nose rubbing against the ground all the way to the Qibla, because you are nothing compared to what this artist is. This artist is in charge of your destiny, the entire community's destiny. It is keeping us all alive. And we are so lucky to be here. Our brothers and sisters in Iran have lost all this. They have maintained the culture, they have maintained stories of the Shahnama and everything, but they come here to Spagelag, to Iransha, but sadly they don't know how. And these are the kind of YouTube or any kind of things that we should just inform people. Okay, please, when you come with that kind of humility to Iransha, or to any Agarya Natasperam. They're all Padsasiles. The footfall issue, again, problem with education, as you were saying, of how to be dressed, how to come, how to Bagilag. How to Bagilag is a faith issue, because people are of the feeling that why should I kneel down? Are do you know who you're facing? They come and they are rude to the Mobid Sahib. The Mobid Sahib may not want to put some kachra sukhar onto the atas badsa, because he is tending to that fire like a mother tends to its child. And just as you would not give your child bad milk, that Mobid feels, I cam Iranchana kharab khorak apo. So that Mobid might put your sukhar aside. It's not the time to yell at the Mobid. It's the time to understand what we have done wrong. Why is that Mobid doing this? Trying to have some understanding, trying to work together. So education is needed for that. Faith is needed for that. But footfall also, very sadly, is due to demographics. And unfortunately, we are losing our numbers, not because of lack of faith, not because of lack of anything else, but simply because we are prioritizing material gain over everything else. When our forefathers came to India, they were a handful of people. They came maybe 2,000 people. I could be wrong. You can correct me. I don't know the figures. Today we are 60,000, 80,000 people in the world. And today we cannot upkeep a few buildings and maintain a few infrastructures properly. We cannot upkeep our own population. We are shrinking instead of growing. Our forefathers came, they didn't have 5, 10 children because they had nothing else to do. You know, they valued who we were. They valued our culture. They valued our religion. They did not value that we should have, you know, some sort of ways to control how many kids we have so that we can have a good life. Because demographics is very simple. If you have 10 Parsis, you can add the zeros if you want. If you have 10 Parsis, and hopefully they're all 5 boys and 5 girls, if they get married, if they only have 1 child, you still reduce the population to half. If they have 2 children, you've brought the population to equality. But if they have 3 children, then you have a chance of growth. But that chance of growth will only happen if you don't have so many people who are unmarried, if you don't have so many people who are now moving into the gay and lesbian LGBTQ. So we're losing members of the community. So it's incumbent upon those of us who can have children and are married to Parsis to have more children. Again, we're going to bring in the community people, leaders into the scope, because why aren't people having more children? Number one, because they care for the finances more. They think of biju bachu karste in a school ke moklavas. Responsibility kon lese. Grandparents kem jose. These are issues that we have to address as a community, and don't think they are not community issues. Every government, the Canadian government, I only know Canada, Canadian government has schemes to help mother and father go to work that will help them pay for the daycare for their children. They have schemes where that if you have 1 child, you have so much baby bonus. If you have 2 children, you have so much baby bonus until the age that they're 16 or something, I believe. If you have 3 children, you have this. So, you know, we should come up with schemes like that. Okay, if you have 1 child, you get this. If you have 2 child, maybe there should be half the fees for education. Maybe if you have 3 child, the 3rd child, there will be 0 fees for education. Or maybe 0 fees for whatever is the burden on society. Whatever is the burden on the youth to have the kids. Maybe it's because of the homes. So maybe some of the people who are hanging on to flats of their forefathers, I agree, because you know it's their ancestral flat, but it's part of a Parsi Panchayat building. It's meant for welfare. Try to consider the welfare of the community. Try to say, okay, you know, why don't I shift into a 1-room flat now that I'm old and 60 years old and living in Australia? Why don't I shift into a 1-room flat and give my 3-bedroom huge flat to a young couple? So some kind of community understanding, community effort, community education has to happen on that level. Yeah, I think that's how to address the footfall, demographics and education.
Havove, I just wanted your thoughts on one very tricky issue that we are facing right now. You would obviously know that when our people spread out from Gujarat to various areas in the insides of Gujarat, and then they came to Bombay, wherever people stayed, they've been establishing agyari after agyari after agyari. In Mumbai itself, we have more than 50 agyaris. Many more in various mufsil areas. Now we are facing a serious issue with numbers falling, people migrating to other towns, people going abroad. Many of these small places have nobody to man the agyaris. There's no Parsi in certain places, but some single caretaker just happens to deal with the fire over there. How he does well ceremoniously, doesn't deal with things in the right way that he should. All these are becoming question marks. And then you have trustees coming up with ideas to say that why don't we sell off these properties, move these fires to some other places, and then use the money for welfare of the mobeds. Personally, I find that pretty discomforting. You cannot be selling off your heritage. And since we are on the topic of heritage, I thought I'd get your views on this topic. How would you address this problem?
Anos, when you care for a fire day and night, the thought of moving that fire through filth and dirt, even a devo for that matter, is very upsetting and very un-Zoroastrian. I understand the situation, I understand the issue is very complex. My take on it, I believe I was talking to somebody a few days ago and he was saying to me that some agyaris are in such a bad state that actually the fire itself has gone out. And that when tourists come, I will say tourists because basically people just coming just to see the agyari, a non-Zoroastrian will open the doors and light the fire and let you come and see the agyari, and then again once you leave the fire will go out and he will lock the door. So in those cases, I mean the fire has already gone out, but the building is still ours. Where there is a fire, I'll come back to that in a moment, where there is a fire, for sure there has to be ways to secure that fire, secure a mobit. And I know it's difficult, and I know that there are no Zoroastrians around, and it is a difficult community issue. But the fastest, easiest solution should not be looked at like, let's just sell off the properties and bring the fires. That is not a solution that I think is viable. These are the heritage our ancestors have left us. And we are responsible to look after them. Whether their trustees are no more or not, we are the trustees. They are made for us as Zoroastrians. In a very small and a very quick example, I will give you. I was looking after my dad's kaka's will, and he had left some money for an agyari. And we said, "Chani koi ek agyari ma repairs che, te ma thorak pesa che api de." Ave ape to Canada ma uta already. We had somebody here who showed us pictures ke baratas par pani parech, monsoon ma. So we said, okay, take this money, kaka na pesa che, I fix kari deo. So few months later, I think in August, I think it's Mukta time only, I had a dream. So Jimmy Kaka came to me and said, Havove, I bara koi maru koi jotu nati. And I woke up and I told Aspi, I said, Aspi, Jimmy Kaka am sapna ma bolech. I looked at his roj, it wasn't his roj. I looked at, ke suke divas hose, tebi ne utu suche. She said, Chani, evan na pesa to pila chokra na apiach, let's just find out what's happening. Ave, that chokro called, when I called that chokro, he says, Nidhi, we've decided to use the funds for something else, ke continuous income male, so we've decided to put stalls on the side of the agyari, outside, on the gate or wall, outer wall of the agyari. It's far from the agyari, it's okay. And we are going to, then the income from those stalls will help maintain the agyari. I said, look, that's not what the pesa was meant for. So, akli nalli cheez ma, few $1,000s ma, jo mara kaka mana avine ke dikra maru koi jotu nathi. Ta ai bada manaso, apra ancestors. But our ancestors that are all on my windows, they left all this heritage to us. You think ke loko ne thatu nati ke apro aklu bodu kari gya, akli mehnat kari gya. હવે કોઈ કહે કે તો એ લોકોના નસીબ છે, એ લોકોનું તકદીર, એ લોકોએ જળ કાપીને કીધું, એ લોકોનું એમ થયું, કદાચ એ લોકોના કર્માને લીધે અગિયારી બંધ થઈ. That's not our lookout. Our lookout is કે અગિયારી છે, let's look after it. બીજું બી શું, I have a completely different outlook. I know the religious outlook is there, that artists move as netai. That is the religious outlook. But I tend to look at things out of the box. And I look at it differently. Okay? Today we are here in India. We have no homeland. We have no Persia to go to. These institutions, whether they are defunct or whether they are running, they are our final borders. That's the only property we have left, rightfully ours, to call ours. Can 60,000 Parsis, 80,000 Parsis not look after a few properties, Anos? I'm sure that if we put our heads together, we can. Because this is our property, this is our inheritance, this is our borders. So what are the solutions for this? I heard from a young Mobid himself who said that there is so much poverty in Mobids. Surely there is some Mobid out there, for some Agyari, who will go there if you give them a good housing and good salary, and he'll be happy to get out of the city and do his job. Some people truly want to just serve the artists, and it's a good opportunity. So one or two Agyaris you could probably do this with. There's the issue of foreign Parsis. Today there's a big hulabulu ke foreign Parsi thi kem paumel ni kriya thai. But we are also living in the foreign country. We want paumel ni kriya. Kiri na kaye. Iran chama manaso nati to do the kriya. Kem kaye. So this is an option. Okay, you divert the funds from these foreign people who want their kriya done. Send it to these remote Agyaris. Help that artist stay alive. Help that morbid in these kriyas. And I will go one step further, because I know it for a fact. So it's not myself and my husband along with another couple of families. We wanted to adopt one such defunct Agyari, so-called defunct Agyari. It didn't work out for other reasons. It doesn't matter. But adopt in what sense? We said, okay, we will make sure you will always have enough kati between us few families. We will make sure that the morbid will always be paid for. We just want to make sure that the funds will be properly used. So when you address issues like this to the wider community, you might get 100. This is only one person's solution. You might get 100 good different solutions like this. There are some morbids out there. We went to Iran. Most Agyaris there are not even, the fires there are not even tended. There's no artist. You don't know if that ever was even an artist Behram fire, but it's just sitting there. Ek kriya nati thati, just some old woman kept putting logs on it, and the artist is going, and they're maintaining it, and they have faith in it. So when we went to Iran, we had a morbid with us. We heard this story, we were horrified. We said, "Kisu artist agal, patsa agal, ek artist niyash nati banati, ek boy nati devati." They didn't even know. So we all encouraged from our tour. We said, "Jauni ke ek artist to bani lao." Oh, he was so happy. He felt like he did some great service. He went to that artist. He prayed to that artist. He gave. We were there for 1 hour, Hanos. But people come to India for this. There are many Zoroastrians out there who are not just not just this pasban morbids, but real, morbid morbids, who will love to tend the fire for 1 week, 2 weeks if you give them an opportunity to do so. Maybe something like this. My ideas might seem outlandish, but just if we get public input, if we see how people will do it, we can probably get somewhere with this. So I think that is few good solutions for these Agyaris. And worst come to worst, last option should only be to sell off the property. But I don't really see if we can use these properties. We are 60,000-80,000 people. I'm sure 60,000-80,000 mati 90% or whatever percent is liberal and don't care or don't have faith. Even if we have only 5,000-10,000 people that have faith, can we not look after these Agyaris? Come on. Come on. Today, these young girls, I don't know if you have time for this, but young girls, where entire families are killed by ISIS. All the men in the family killed, all the elder women killed, mothers killed, brothers, young boys taken off, given rifles in hand, trying to convert them into ISIS. Young girls, obviously you know what they are being used for. These young girls who escape, I'm looking on the net, they're telling each other, when they try to come and change your name, because of course, the first thing that you do to change a person's religion, you change their name, you change their religion, you marry them off forcibly. The young 16-year-old girls, 14-year-old girls, 12-year-old girls saying, you tell them I am Izari. You don't let them change your name. We are talking about young girls whose whole families have been killed in front of them. We are Parsis, well-to-do, sitting in good homes, having good lives. Can we not look after a few Agyaris? Come on. I find this to be completely absurd and ridiculous thought.
You remind me of the words of Jamshedji Tata when he spoke to his sons, and the advice he gave them was, if you are not able to increase and create more, at least hang on to what you have.
Absolutely.
And I think today that is the best advice that this community can follow. Jamshedji was a great man, one of the greatest sons India has ever produced. See the wisdom in his words. and see how applicable it is to us today. We have such rich heritage that has been inherited by us. All we need to do is hold on till at least the new savior comes along and rescues us from the bad situation that we are facing right now for various reasons. Thank you very much, Havove. This has been a really engaging conversation. We've covered a whole host of issues, and I'm very, very happy to have heard your views. I'm sure it resonates with some of the views that many of our viewers have. You have feedback, please feel free to write to us. You know, Enduring Faith, we have a WhatsApp channel. Please write to us on that, and we'll be happy to take things forward. We are looking for good suggestions, good ideas. But as of now, thank you very much, Havove.
You're
it's been
most
great
welcome.
Interacting with you.
Thank you so much.
And please do keep in touch with us.
Thank you.
We will be happy to work with you on various issues.
Thank you. You guys are doing excellent work.
Thank you very much.
You're being very good. And I also want to just thank you for one moment for not only your work, but also for bringing attention to Baghepars, because by doing so, we hope that many people who come here to visit Iransha will come and see Baghepars, will come and read some of the writings that we have all over the building, inside, outside, and we've put pictures on the windows so that when the kids come, that we can ask them, who is this? And they will, if they don't know, I will say, you know, this is Rustam Pelwan, this is one of his tests he went through, this is his horse. I will ask them, who is that? Cyrus the Great. I will talk about Cyrus the Great and Cyrus Cylinder. So this is our small ways that we can help. There are many people doing many things, but this is our little contribution that we can do.
So ladies and gentlemen, this is an invitation to Havove's house. And more importantly, this house is a testament to Havove's conviction, her strength of confidence in her own self that she can achieve change. And I'm sure each of us can have this kind of attitude that in whatever small way we can, let us bring about a positive change which helps our community, which helps our future generations inherit what we've been lucky to inherit. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, Hanoz.
Thank you.
May I say one more thing?
Go ahead.
As a last thought, what I tell everybody is stop all the negative talk. Apre khalas the gaya, apre finished the gaya, apre empty. What? We were 2,000 when we came. We are 60, 70,000. What finished? Let's get going. Let's act together. Time to move. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.